Hey guys, Mario Peshev from Devers here. Moes from WP Blog sent me 5 questions for the audience and I'd be happy to answer, so I'm going to jump straight to the point. Number one, how would you introduce yourself to the WordPress community? So my name is Mario Peshev. I run Devrix, a distributed WordPress development agency. I consult medium-sized owners of small and medium enterprises and fast-paced startups on building high-scale solutions for enterprises. I write a lot on Quora, on my blog. I record some videos on LinkedIn and recently on YouTube. And I deal with a bunch of different things related to tech, marketing, hiring, and a lot more that an agency owner has to deal with, basically. Number two, how do you respond to people who say WordPress is not secure enough? So WordPress as a core platform is an extremely stable and solid solution, very secure. Most of the general security vulnerabilities that people deal with are related to shared hostings that are insecure by kind of definition, especially when you set up staging websites, other test websites, other solutions on that plan that are vulnerable so people can get access to your entire account through them. Insecure plugins or themes, lack of updates, insecure passwords, using poor unprotected wireless networks, and a bunch of other things. The core platform by itself is fairly secure. There have been a minimum number of security vulnerabilities revealed over the years. Most of those were responsibly disclosed before something terribly happens. And generally, there are a lot of good ways to keep your website secure by relying on a managed WordPress host, usually with a combination of something like Sucuri or another web application framework on top of all of that. Number three, WordPress is really broad. What specific aspects do you focus on? So we do specialize in a bunch of different things. First off, we employ six WordPress core contributors in our team, as well as a bunch of different plugin developers. We do build a lot of software as a service applications. We work with publishers generating tens of millions of page views a month. We also specialize in WordPress multi-site, since most of the SaaS applications that we build are multi-site based, and a bunch of other things as well. So this is kind of our core focus. We do a lot of plugin development, performance optimization, and also include our marketing staff in growth strategies and different ways of monetization that can help our businesses whenever that's applicable. Number four, people say WordPress users or developers are very basic. What do you think? So in terms of developers, there are a lot of WordPress developers who are hobbyists, which means that they don't really have a traditional computer science degree or any sort of kind of technical degree for software development and web development. That's not necessarily bad if they catch up with the required skills for the job, but if you miss the concepts of computer science in general, or the importance of operating systems, computer architectures, network, algorithms, data structures, and a lot more thought there, it's really hard to build a highly scalable platform because you need the right tool set, you need the right software paradigms to include, you need to understand design patterns, best practices for performance debugging, a lot more things, and figure out how's everything connected and how it works on top of the entire stack, because you have, for example, WordPress, it's written in PHP, JavaScript, SQL, more or less. All of that runs on a LAMP stack, Linux, Apache or Nginx, PHP, and MySQL or MariaDB. You need to understand all of that. This is installed on an operating system and sometimes on several different containers, especially if you want to keep the database separated, if you have a high-scale website and all of that runs behind a load balancer. So it gets a bit tricky. So if you understand all of that, it's really easy to understand how to optimize processes, how to really adjust things in order for them to work as expected. In terms of users are users everywhere, so some are more tech savvy, others are not. WordPress is a great solution for those who don't understand tech that well. Number five is, what do you think is the future of WordPress? Will it continue to grow, or are there potential threats from competitors? So WordPress currently powers over 30% of the web, which means that almost every third website out there is built on top of WordPress. It's a great platform. We love it. We are kind of full stack WordPress based. We used to code in different frameworks and languages and so forth, but not anymore. Or at least we do that as a complement to existing WordPress platforms. So it's definitely a great solution. It's kind of targeting the middle market for the most part. We do work with enterprises using WordPress as their main application framework. but for the most part, it's generally targeted by small and medium businesses and standard organizations, publishers, and also a lot of solopreneurs, photographers, bloggers, and other folks that are kind of using it as their go-to choice. As well as marketing, of course, it's a great marketing toolkit. It's real easy to bootstrap something that really grows your scales indefinitely and so forth. But a lot of the kind of small users, just starting businesses and so on, are now moving to Squarespace, Wix, Weebly, because it's easier to set up. The user interface is a little bit more streamlined. This wasn't the case a decade ago, but now WordPress may be a bit clumsy for some because there are just tons of options when you enter the dashboard. And enterprises often prefer to go for something established for, again, enterprises. Could be a Java stack, a .NET one, or something else. Could be Node, could be Ruby, could be Python, or so forth. But again, on top of that, about 83% of the web runs on top of PHP, which still means that the vast majority of people rely on PHP. There's a lot of existing software solving different problems. It's easy to find reliable and affordable hosting for those. It's easier to customize, it's easier to deploy, and so on and so on, which means that those trends are not going anywhere over the next few years. WordPress will still keep growing, even though it may try to kind of separate some of its core base more or less in order to become more appealing for the small users as well as enterprises, or in other words, just extending the medium gap and trying to cover more of the small users and more of the enterprises at the same time.